Hello, my name is Owen Clark. I will be arguing for the House in favor of keeping the IRS. While we do believe and agree that the IRS needs serious reform in order to meet the gold standard as a tax collection agency, abolishing an already established system will only create more problems. Starting off targeting our main arguments from our opponents, the introduction of a flat tax system. Now, we are of the opinion that a flat tax, and we even believe that the flat tax system just won't cut it in the United States. Not sure if our opponents know the definition of a flat tax, but a flat tax would mean that the percentage of which everyone in the United States is taxed at would be at a fixed rate. A simplified tax collecting system in the country with uneven distribution of wealth, like the United States, won't do justice and will only further economic inequalities. Following this flat tax system would put an even greater burden on middle and lower class families that are already struggling to make sure bills get paid and forcing them to start living a paycheck to paycheck. And those problems will only get worse during harsh economic times, especially like right now. An article published by Investopedia gives a great example as to why this won't work. If a person makes $1 million a year and is taxed 18%, then the person is left with $820,000 and it still has enormous purchasing power. But if that same person is making $50,000 a year and is taxed at that same rate, then he or she is left with $41,000 a year. A flat tax would force those families to start making more difficult financial decisions and may or may not get by even with that. Staying with our existing gradual system, even with the current position of the IRS, is far better than a flat tax system that keeps the poor people down and the rich people on top. The Department of Treasury relies on the IRS, and eliminating the IRS would mean that they would rely on a third party to receive and send our taxes. If the IRS were to be abolished and we would start relying on these private collecting companies like TurboTax that our opponents mentioned, who would enforce them? If the IRS, private tax collecting companies work in tandem with the IRS to make sure that your taxes get to the Department of the Treasury, while having private companies take the wheel in tax collection might be the good call and might make the system more efficient. Without the IRS acting as a second middleman, these companies would eventually establish their own bureaucracy. If the sole proprietors of the tax collection belong to the hands of private corporations, then the potential for these corporations to start implementing their own policies for tax collection are enormous. Another thing to note is that if our opponents are concerned about hacking, security breaches in the IRS, I assure you that private collecting companies are not in any safer position than how the IRS would be. We hear stories all the time of companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Sony getting hacked all the time. And we're going to trust private companies with our tax money? Trusting another group to deliver your money to the government with the potential for even more money to be thrown away, and for those groups to not have to report to anyone outside the Department of Treasury is problematic. Last thing to note is that the IRS provides taxpayers with assistance, and unlike the system that might replace it, is capable of enforcing their policies against fraudulent tax filings. Without the IRS, taxpayers would be at the mercy of these private companies, private tax collecting corporations that have hidden agendas and create policies that allow them to collect taxes on their own terms. The solution to the IRS's inefficiencies is not to get rid of it altogether, as that would leave taxpayers in dire straits. Not to mention, implementing a flat tax system in America would only widen the gap between the rich and the poor. It may have taken thousands of times in attempts to reform the IRS, but in our current situation as a country, we are far better off having an established system that is inefficient than trying a half-baked attempt at something new, thinking that there will be no consequences. That is the rest of my time. Thank you.